Let's talk about the FBI. This is a very serious story. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. Police went ahead and shot dead an armed man who tried to breach the Cincinnati, Ohio FBI building. This was all on Thursday, where an armed standoff ensued, where a man approached the FBI building in Cincinnati. He was basically pushed back from the FBI building onto a nearby interstate in kind of an hours-long standoff, eventually culminated in a gun battle, and he was shot dead by police who were on the scene. Later, the suspect was identified as Ricky Schiffer. He's a 42-year-old man. Now, Mr. Schiffer, let's go ahead and put this next one up on the screen, actually was at the Capitol on January 6th, a diehard Trump supporter. And what has really come out since then is not just his presence at the Capitol on January 6th, but a series of tweets, Krystal, that he sent, not tweets, sorry, truths
yes.
that he sent before all of this began. His very last truth actually was this, quote, "Well, I thought I had a way through bulletproof glass. I didn't. If you didn't hear from me, it's true. I tried attacking the FBI. It'll mean either I was taken off the internet, the FBI got me, or they sent the regular cops." Now, in previous truths, what he had said is, quote, "It won't matter if we don't get violent. We see the courts are unfair and unconstitutional. All that is left is force." And he says, "I'm having trouble getting information." He was citing, previous YouTubers and others talking about people who are gathering outside of Mar-a-Lago. So, I mean, clearly Mr. Schiffer was like a diehard kind of Trump supporter. He was absolutely all in and
he thought he was fighting a war.
Right, and this is where things get dicey, and I hope we have a lot of people of varying political stripes who watch this show, and I would just say that there is nothing regarding this situation which is worth you laying down your life. So please don't do that. And unfortunately, we have seen, let's put this up there on the screen, Ken Klippenstein talking about the FBI and DHS issuing joint intelligence bullets to their entire staff, warning of, quote, "the potential for domestic violent extremists to carry out attacks in reaction to the FBI recent execution of a court-authorized search in Palm Beach." We've seen also some targeting of the actual FBI agents who were in charge of the raid itself, and just some other crazy stuff happening here in Washington. I want to be clear at the top. We have no idea who this guy was who actually did what I'm about to tell you, but let's put this up there. Overnight, over the weekend, a man set his car on fire, drove into the barricade near the U.S. Capitol, very close to where our studio is here right now, started shooting indiscriminately, and ultimately shot and killed himself. So went ahead, drove his car into the barricade, shot indiscriminately, and ultimately killed himself. Was he a crazy person? Nobody knows. Ran himself into the barricade. Now, to be clear, it is not uncommon. We've had barricade incidents in the past.
Yeah.
We had some Nation of Islam people, like earlier this year and others. So it's not like it doesn't happen at least once or twice a year. But obviously the timing happening so close to what happened with the FBI, everybody's on very, very high alert.
Yeah.
I think that, I just, again, look, nothing is worth taking up arms and going to go shoot. At least, currently, probably won't be there ever in our lifetime. More what I'm saying is that tensions are high. There's a lot of irresponsible rhetoric. And actually, I want to call back to what you discussed in our earlier block, which is when Trump conveyed to the Department of Justice, he was like, hey, there's a lot of people who are very upset. How can I, quote unquote, bring down the heat? I think this may be what he was referring to, because also politically, what do we know? Which is that events like January 6th and more, I mean, it's not like it isn't ultimately used against many of the people for the cause that they were supposedly, trying to do. And it could ignite more of a police state.
It only justifies more of a police state.
Right.
Like, ultimately, if your end is to reduce the police state, that is not the impact you are going to have here. Yeah, this guy reportedly showed up at the FBI office with a nail gun and an assault rifle. I guess maybe he thought the nail gun was going to pierce the bulletproof
that's an interesting one.
Glass. And I want to read a little bit more of what he posted, because I think it's kind of important. Just like, we've dug into the manifesto of that white supremacist killer, and I think it's really important to understand the mindset, and especially when you have right-wing commentators who, listen, it's a free country, you can say what you say, but the rhetoric is wildly irresponsible. But, Steven Crowder out there like, tomorrow is war, sleep well, Charlie Kirk saying similar things.
Really, he said that?
Yes.
That's terrible.
I mean, it's people, you may think it's all a game and that people aren't really taking you that seriously, but this asshole was taking you seriously. And so he was truthing the following. He said, people, this is it. I hope a call to arms comes from someone better qualified, but if not, this is your call to arms from me. He goes on, go to the Army Navy store, et cetera, et cetera. They've been conditioning us to accept tyranny and think we can't do anything for 2 years. This time we must respond with force. If you know of any protests or attacks, please post here. Somebody replies and says, are you proposing terrorism? To which he said, very important question. No, I am proposing war. Be ready to kill the enemy, not mass shootings where leftists go, not lighting buses on fire with transsexuals in them, not finding people with leftist signs in their yards and beating them up. Violence is not all terrorism. Kill the FBI on sight. Be ready to take down other active enemies of the people and those who try to prevent you from doing it. So all of this over the top rhetoric about this is a civil war and it's 1776 and sleep well, tomorrow's all this stuff. This guy believed you. He believed you and committed an act of terrorism and violence.
His own life.
Tried to murder FBI agents and, ultimately ended up dead himself. So again, I'm a major free speech advocate. We both are.
Absolutely.
But if you
Which
have a
relates to what
platform,
we're about to discuss.
Yeah, if you have a platform, be responsible. Think about the people who are listening to you and who are taking actually literally seriously the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, it is important that you read that. People need to understand like how deranged. So it's also just always remarkable to me how similar all radical rhetoric actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could replace that with like Black Panthers in the 1970s. And it would,
right.
It really, literally.
Muslim extremists.
The same thing.
Yep.
Anyway, look, let's wait for the facts. Let's see what it is. I understand the tensions are high, and if anybody's out there talking about war, shut your mouth, because first of all, you're probably not going to be the one actually doing anything, and it's actual people like this guy. I don't know this guy's story, but I don't want to see anybody die for no good reason.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.